All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little national championship review as Jim Harbaugh gets it done and his Wolverines win their first national championship since 1997. And of course, we're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out in Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. Pig and a Pickle. Go get the brisket. Go get the brisket chili. Say hi to Damon and Mary. Tell them that Krug sent you. And this video also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Check that link in the description. Use the promo code Krug, K-R-U-E-G, and they will match you up to your first $100. All right, let's talk a little bit about the national championship, which goes to the Michigan Wolverines. It was Washington out of the Pac-12 against Michigan out of the Big Ten. Both teams were undefeated. Michigan got the ball first, and Donovan Edwards rumbled in 41-yard touchdown run from Donovan Edwards, 8-play, 84-yard drive, and Edwards just got loose, found an opening, and was gone. And that made it 7-0. So 7-0, Michigan on top early. Now, Washington's first offensive possession, they would drive the ball from the 25-yard line all the way down into the red zone. But on 3rd and goal, Penix threw to Adunze. It was too high. And so Washington had to kick a 26-yard field goal, 14-play drive, 67 yards. Michigan was up 7-3. Michigan in the second possession, though, man, Donovan Edwards had a 46-yard touchdown run, capping a 4-play drive. They scored instantly, making it 14-3. And you're thinking, man, this is going to be a blowout. Washington's second possession, Mike Sainristil had a solo tackle on 3rd down. The corner forced a punt, and Michigan gets it back. So Michigan on their third possession, Blake Corum has a 59-yard run. In fact, Michigan averaged 19 yards per carry in the first quarter of this game. So Michigan moves the ball down the field. On 3rd and 4 from the 14, though, McCarthy threw incomplete. So James Turner came on, kicked the 32-yard field goal, and it was 17-3 Wolverines. And you're thinking, man, the route is on. But Washington would fight back in this game. And Michael Penix would hook up with Adunze on a nice play to start the next drive. And then on 4th and 7, Penix threw to Adunze down the field. He was wide open. It was a slight overthrow by Penix. And so Washington turned it over on downs to the Wolverines, down 17-3. And you're thinking, man, Michigan's going to go up 24-3. It's going to be a rout. Instead, Washington's defense on the next series held. Michigan went 3 and out. And then Washington, went for it on 4th down or were forced to punt on the next series. And Michigan on their next series, this is in the first half, McCarthy went for it on 4th and 3, and he threw incomplete. That was kind of controversial because Michigan could have didn't have to go for it on 4th down, and they did. They could have punted. Instead, they gave Washington great field position, and on Washington's next drive, they took over at their own 39-yard line, and they scored. Penix found McMillan for a touchdown on 4th and goal from the 3 to cap an 11-play, 61-yard drive. And suddenly it is 17-10. And you're thinking, wait a second here. Is this going to be a ball game despite the fact that the Wolverines had a huge, huge advantage? In fact, that's where it was at halftime, 17-10 Michigan. But how about this? Michigan had 290 yards in the first half. Washington had 160. Michigan outrushed the Huskies in the first half, 209-32. And yet we're only up 7. Michigan ran for almost 13 yards a carry. Washington was running for 2 yards a carry, and yet it was a 7-point game. So you looked at the beginning of the third quarter, and you're thinking, wait a second. If the Huskies are only down 7, maybe this game will turn in the second half. But the first play of the third quarter, the Huskies, of course, had the ball to begin the third quarter. Michael Penix threw an interception to the corner Johnson at the UW 32-yard line. and Michigan gets the ball back. And on the play, Penix looked like he sprained his right ankle. Michigan, though, could not punch it in for a touchdown. They settle for the 38-yard field goal, and they're only up 10, 20-10. So then Washington gets the ball back in the third quarter. Penix found his tight end for a first down. On 3rd and 8, he found Westover on a shot for a first down, or was short of a first down. But then at 4th and 4 from the 28, Washington decides. DeBoer said, I'm going to send Grady Gross in for the 45-yard field goal. He made it to make it, once again, a one-touchdown game, 20-13. And you're thinking, you know what? As weird as this game is, the Huskies still have a chance. They're only down a touchdown. And they went to the fourth quarter down a touchdown as well. But, it's funny. Michigan, on Washington's possession late in the third quarter, Penix threw down the field to Adunze, and Johnson grabbed Adunze's jersey. But I'll say this, man, the ACC officials who were on the call in this game, there was no call, and they were really letting them play, and that forced Washington to punt the ball back to Michigan with 5 minutes and 11 seconds left in the third quarter. Wolverines, though, could not get anything going, and they punted as well on their next possession. Washington would get the ball back, and they tried to move it up the field. They found Westover, Penix did, for a nice first down, but then they were forced to punt. So eventually Michigan gets the ball back in the fourth quarter, and put this thing away. It was Penix was 0 for 6 on passes of 20 plus yards. And, that was really it. Washington was forced to punt with 11:52 left in the game, back to the Wolverines. And then this is where Michigan put it away. McCarthy went to the tight end Loveland on a 1st and 10 play from their own 28, went all the way down to the Michigan 30. And it was a 40-yard play. It was a true back-breaking play, for the Wolverines. Against the Huskies, I should say. It was a backbreaker for the Huskies. And then 1st and 10 from the 30, Blake Corum, the future NFL running back, had a nice run, and then he went in from 12 yards out for a touchdown run. That made it 27-13 Michigan. And then it looked like, Penix was going to lead some kind of a comeback. He found Adunze on a 27-yard throw, and they got down the field. But on 4th and 13, Penix threw, and it was intercepted by Mikey Sainristil, who took it back 81 yards to the Wolverine 8, or to the Washington 8-yard line. And Sainristil, one of the team captains, was a converted wide receiver, and he really made a nice play. He's an undersized defensive back who's in the upcoming draft, but he took it 81 yards back deep inside the Washington red zone at the 8, and then on 2nd and goal, Blake Corum went in from 1 yard out to make it 34-13. And that's pretty much how it ended. And Michigan gets their first national championship since their split national title back in 1997. That was the Charles Woodson-led Michigan Wolverines. They split the national title that year with the Nebraska Cornhuskers. And so Michigan wins this one today, 34-13. Michigan finishes their year 15-0. Huskies finished their year 14-1. If you look at the final stats, Michigan wins this game despite being 1 for 11 on 3rd and 4th down conversions. I mean, you just don't see that often. In fact, Michigan scored 34 points. Washington scored 13. Michigan had 16 first downs in the game. The Huskies had 17 first downs in the game. Really kind of an odd statistical game, but Michigan could not convert on 3rd down, but they did enough to win this game. 443 yards for the Wolverines to 301 for Washington. Washington outpassed them 255 to 140, but Michigan outran them 303 yards to 46. The Huskies averaged 2.3 a carry. The Wolverines averaged 8 yards a carry. Michigan was also +2 in the turnovers because of the 2 interceptions by Michael Penix. Penix had a rough day for sure. He had an ankle sprain. They had no running game. Really, if you look at this game, Dylan Johnson's injuries really hurt Washington. Dylan Johnson's a really good running back, and he ran hard all year. But in this game, he was totally banged up. Knee, ankle, foot. He played anyway. He had 11 carries for 33 yards. But, they just had to do it. Michael Penix had to do it all himself. They had no offensive balance. 51 passes, only 20 runs. Penix was 27 of 51 for 255, 1 touchdown and 2 picks. I'll also say this. I know these the Wolverine or the Husky receivers are thought to be, really good players. I think they're hugely overrated. Rome Odunze and Jalen McMillan. These guys were good in the Pac-12, but I will say it right now. Rome Odunze and Jalen McMillan will not be stars in the NFL by any stretch. Penix had to do this all by himself today, and he just couldn't do it. As far as the Wolverines, Michigan's got a ton of talent. They've recruited really, really well. J.J. McCarthy, though, I think is hugely overrated as well. If people take J.J. McCarthy in the first round, I think they're going to be disappointed. He was 10 of 18 for 140. He did have 4 runs for 31 yards, so he's got a little mobility. But it was the combo of Blake Corum, the senior, and Donovan Edwards, the junior. Those guys combined for 27 carries for 238 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns. Those 2 running backs were absolutely outstanding for the Wolverines. Colston Loveland, had 64 yards. He's the sophomore tight end from Idaho. He was really good for Michigan for sure. And, Michigan's got a pretty good defense. There's no question. And they held the Washington Huskies to 13 points. So Michigan wins the national championship. It was kind of a bummer because Dylan Johnson is a major part of the Huskies attack, and he just was not 100%. And Penix, it was all on Penix to kind of shoulder the load, and he really just couldn't do it. McCarthy is nothing special, but, man, Michigan's got a phenomenal offensive line. They've got a phenomenal defensive line. They got a really good defense. And they've got 2 future NFL running backs in Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards. And those guys led the attack. And this was all about Michigan's rushing attack. 38 carries, 303 yards, and 4 rushing touchdowns. Corum had a long run of 59 yards. Edwards had a touchdown run of 46 yards. And Michigan on the night averaged 8 yards a carry. So congratulations to Jim Harbaugh. Now the intrigue will be, will Jim Harbaugh stay at Michigan and sign a lifetime contract? They'll probably offer him one. Or will he jump to the NFL, where he's widely rumored to be headed next? So huge win for the Michigan Wolverines, their first national title in over a quarter century. Got to go back to 1997. But they get it done tonight against the Washington Huskies. Thanks to all of you guys for supporting the Krug Show. And, of course, this video brought to you by Pig and a Pickle and Underdog Fantasy. And once again, thanks for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube.